Shut up and sit down.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Midnight Showing. I'm Dan Connors, and this episode I saw Us. And I just got back from it, so let's just get right into it. So, the beginning was great. I really enjoyed the kind of gripping start to it. It was a great way to set, like, kind of how the whole thing was going to be looking and feeling. Like, it was very well shot. The whole movie, the cinematography and everything, all the shots were incredible. But it was an interesting start to it where it's a slow start, but they also get right to it where it's like, oh yeah, there's a copy of this girl, and she sees herself, and then ends up needing. Well, that was after I think. Ends up needing this kind of like therapy, and they're trying to figure out how to get her to talk and be herself again because the parents don't know what happened to her. So that was an interesting a start. The bunny intro scene thing was, it got you ready to be like on the edge of your seat. The House of Mirrors scene was like, okay, this is gonna be kind of scary and intimidating, and then the rabbit cage scene was like made you kind of eerie and on edge. So I really liked that whole part with the soundtrack and everything. That was cool. And then we get right into the family, really, and that whole part, the whole setup of the characters and the intro scene and all that stuff, I thought was amazing. Uh, Meeting the family and the chemistry that all the actors had with each other, um, it was a nice blend of the humor and the kind of family aspect. The actors did an amazing job with that, really selling the whole family dynamic of it. So that was really really good. I loved the whole setup with all that, and the dad going out and buying the boat. The whole chemistry with all of them really really sold it. And then we start to learn that the little girl that we saw in the very beginning was actually the mom of the family, and that was a cool way to introduce it. Where with us realizing along kind of with the story, as the dad wants to go to the beach, and she's kind of having to realize and remember what happened to her, that she kind of pushed away for so long, and have to say like, oh, like please, I don't want to go, that kind of thing. I thought that was cool how she tried to work around it and say like, I really don't want to go, but ending up having to and having to relive that. That was cool. And Winston Duke, who played the dad, like he killed it. His humor and his delivery really really sold that whole family dynamic, and just him as a character throughout the whole thing. Once they actually start kind of, once the apocalypse starts to happen or whatever you want to call it, he's still got that kind of humor, and it alleviates it a little bit from you. That you're the anxiety of what's going on. Yeah, he did a great job with that. I really liked the visuals in this with getting up to where they start to realize that there are these doppelgangers out there. When the kid says that there's a family out in the driveway, the visual setup of that, where they're just kind of standing there, and Winston Duke having to go out and just be like, hey, like get off my property, because he thinks it's just I don't know, a random family or something like that. What anybody would do, and that whole scene where they're trying to kind of get them to really say anything and try to figure out what's going on. The mom's calling the cops, and the dad's just like, okay, calm down, you're just overreacting or whatever. But she obviously knows more what's going on, because she went through this as a kid where she saw herself. It was cool and a little, kind of horror movie cheesy that this happened immediately after she tells her husband about this copy of herself she saw as a little girl. So that's kind of horror movie ironic or whatever. But which, by the way, how did you go that long without ever bringing that up? I mean, I know that she probably buried it or something and never wanted to talk about it, but I don't know. It seems weird that they just never talked about that. I don't know. So the family's standing in the driveway, and he's trying to go out the bat, and that whole scene was super cool, where he's trying to be intimidating. Well, I mean, he is being intimidating, and he's like, "Look, I warned you the first time. Here I am again." And the the creepiness aspect where they're still just not moving, and they do the little clap, and then the kids scurry. Oh, those kids were amazing, as like the normal kids, as they were in the family, and then also the evil side of them. Those kids killed it. Really, really did an amazing job with that. Especially the little boy. I don't know if that same boy played the evil kid or something, the way he scurried, but if he did, like, props to him for selling that. That was really creepy how he moved, and with the mask and everything, that was really cool. So yeah, it was interesting how this movie starts off really just, you're kind of thinking it's a normal home invasion movie, like The Strangers or something, and then it gets a little more interesting and a little more creepy where you realize, oh, they're once they kind of break into the house and you actually really see them and figure out what's going on, and you're like, oh, it's a whole family of this family, and they're trying to break in or kill us or something. But it's interesting how they keep you on your toes, because they don't even seem like they're really trying to kill them. They're just almost toying with them. So it was an interesting take on it, where it wasn't just home invasion. It was also like, oh, it's home invasion, but it's an actual just carbon copy of them. So, how does that even happen? Where does this come from? Blah, blah, blah. So it's keeping the mystery going. I couldn't really understand half of what the evil mom was saying, with the raspy voice, but mostly from what I got, and just after seeing the end, it's kind of just, I guess, the government or some sort of company or something. Well, yeah, and then the very start of the movie, it says like there's tunnels underground and all this stuff. So I guess the government or a private company bought up all those tunnels and started cloning people so they could copy like the body, but the soul is still one, so they're kind of together in a way. And I guess when one, like, they're tethered in a way that one can move and control the other one. And I guess she was saying that was the plan all along, is that the government wanted to like make these copies of normal people and then control them somehow. It kind of left it speculating a little bit as to what the heck was going on with that. But it was an interesting scene, but it was kind of almost just boring to me, because I wasn't exactly scared. I was just trying to figure out what was happening. So it was like on the edge of your seat, but I wasn't exactly like scared, I guess you could say. It got a little more serious once she kind of set the plan in motion, that the dad was going to kill the dad, and so on and so forth. And she made the girl run, which I don't know why they made the girl run and then like the kid go play. I don't know where that was coming from. But then the moms just wanted to talk. So I was just trying to figure out where it was going. And that was the problem I had with that part, is that I wasn't worried, I guess you could say, about their safety. Well, I shouldn't say safety, but I didn't feel like an imminent danger to them. It was kind of just, they were all sitting there and it was creepy. It was just a creepy scene. I really just wanted the answers of like who these doppelgangers were or are, and like where they came from. I didn't really care about the whole, we're going to kill you with scissors part. So that was one little problem I had with that. But then the movie just kind of kicks right into action. It doesn't really stop for a while after that, which that part I liked. It got going. It set up the scenes and the family and all that stuff, and then it just kicked off. As soon as you see their doppelgangers and realize what's going on, and they kind of set them out for the chase, the kind of hunt or whatever, it doesn't stop for a while. Oh, I really liked the use of the little boy's kind of tricks. When she tells him to run, I liked how they used, because they set it up earlier where the kid got locked in the closet or whatever that was, and then he was playing with the little fire starter thing, or whatever it was. I really liked how they set that up ahead of time, and then that's what he used to be his doppelganger. Well, I guess you could say, but trick his doppelganger into. They're sitting in the closet, but puts the little truck in the way, and he uses the magic fire starter thing or whatever to lock the kid in the closet. And this whole scene actually is actually really interesting to look back on, with the family sitting there, yeah, the two families sitting across from each other. It's actually really interesting to look back on after the ending, and realizing that the real mother, who the kid was, at the beginning, was switched. It's really interesting to look back on that living room scene, and realize how the one we thought was bad was actually the original one, and to see her explaining stuff to us, even though we don't know that's actually her yet, if that kind of makes sense. But when she's chasing the boy after he gets away from the doppelganger kid with the mask, and she goes down into or I guess the other room. It's not down. I don't think it was down. But into the other room with the ballet mirror. That was actually really cool to look back on after knowing that she's the original kid, and she sees the old picture of herself, and she picks up the little rabbit and stuff. That was really cool, actually, now that I think about it, that she's remembering that as like the kid, when the one we thought was the real mom, she didn't actually have that connection to it because it never actually happened to her. That's actually really cool, now that I think about it. One of the main problems I had with it actually is it got a whole lot less creepy after that. After the family's kind of running away and they escape them for the first time, like when they get away on the boat and that kind of thing. I think it was somewhere in the middle during that fight that we see that their friend and his family, they also have the evil doppelgangers, and they get murdered in their house. It becomes a whole lot creepy to me after that. I don't know if that was just me, and I don't know why, but as soon as I realized that it was kind of, oh, this is everybody kind of has this copy, it didn't get as creepy for me. It was way more creepy when it was just like, oh, why is this family, when it was more secluded, this family has these copies and they're out to get them or something like that. But once they kind of just used it again for the other family, I mean, it happened quicker. And that was kind of weird too, because they didn't really draw it out. Like, they didn't play with the idea of killing them. They kind of just got right to it and killed the whole family. But yeah, I don't know. It got a whole lot less creepy to me after just realizing that probably everybody had a copy. And then, once they defeat the other family too, and they sit down and have a moment to watch the news, and realize that, oh, there's a lot of these. I don't know. It wasn't nearly as creepy to me. It was kind of just, okay, now what's really going on? Are they all copies? Are they, I think they said in the newscast too, is it some sort of cult or ritual or art demonstration or something like that? Like, what is going on? Because they're all just kind of standing around with their arms crossed, or hand in hand with their arms spread out. Which for me, I instantly recognized that as the foreshadowing at the very beginning with the Hands Across America commercial, because they played the whole commercial. It wasn't just like, we saw a picture of it or something. So as soon as we saw the news footage of them holding hands and like arms spread out, I linked that to the commercial, and I was like, oh, okay. So that's kind of what they're doing, but then it still doesn't make sense as to like, what is that? What purpose does that have to serve? Why are they doing that? And where did they get that information? Why are these copies doing this? The whole movie I just kept questioning, which you're obviously supposed to, but I wasn't really as scared in terms of like, not scared, but even just, creeped out. It's thriller, whatever you want to call it. I was just wanting to know the answers to it more than anything. But yeah, after you kind of realize that there's a ton of them, I just wanted to know more answers to it. I wasn't really as bothered by it or creeped out or whatever. Oh, that's another interesting tie back when the two families are sitting across from each other in the living room, and the evil mom tells the current one to handcuff herself. I thought that was really interesting because it didn't really make sense at first. Like it's like okay, maybe she just wants her sitting there so they can talk while the rest of the family gets chased or something like that. But after seeing the ending, and that's what the real evil one made the normal one do. She was chained to the bedpost. Uh, that was really interesting how the real one that was out for revenge this whole time brought the handcuffs back and made her do it herself and like handcuff herself. Yeah, it was just like to a table, but it was like the implication of it of like, hey, I'm back for revenge, and you're gonna be doing the same thing, kind of thing. That was really really cool. Now that I'm thinking about that at the end, yeah. So from there, it kind of just becomes almost like a normal horror slasher type thing. A problem I had was they really lose all kind of uh, weight with the fact that these are doppelgangers and they look just like them. Like I wasn't concerned at all that they were copies of them. It kind of just became like, okay, this is just a slasher. Everybody's killing everybody. There's bodies everywhere, and then it's still in the back of your head. It's like, okay, yeah, but what are these copies doing? Where do they come from? Kind of thing. But it kind of just becomes a slasher, and people are getting picked off, and they're trying to figure it out. And there's a car chase with the sisters on the roof, and like that was a funny part too. They did a really good job with throwing humor in the mix too. Um, well, I don't know if I'd say a really good job. It was a good job in terms of the jokes landed, I think, but the I guess specifically the one I'm thinking of is that car scene where the daughter's trying to drive. Yeah, it was funny, but like all I could think of is this is not the time to be doing that. Like technically the daughter was right where like the dad's leg was hurt and the mom was handcuffed. I get it, but I think it went on a little long to just be like, okay, I'm driving. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. And then it just goes into the whole car chase where the evil daughter is on the hood of the car and all this stuff. Uh, and I didn't really. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I didn't really understand why the mom had to get out and oh, that's interesting. Why the mom had to get out and chase after the girl that was thrown off of the hood, um, the evil daughter one, and you see her in the tree, and I didn't really think she was dying. I thought she was just kind of stuck. But I was gonna say I didn't really understand why the mom didn't just like stab the evil one or something. My first thought was, oh, it's probably because yeah, some sort of mother thing of she can't even though it's not her daughter, it looks like her, so she can't go through with killing her. Um, but then it just kind of confused me again when she started like shushing her and like letting her like peacefully die. I just kind of pieced that to some sort of motherly thing where it looks like her daughter, but that's actually super interesting that after the ending it's actually because that current mom was the tethered one because they did the switch, and she didn't kill the other tethered because that's like one of her own kind of thing. I think well, I actually don't know if that's what they're going for. Who knows? But that's cool to think of it that way. That she couldn't, like, it's somewhere in the back of her head, she couldn't do it because uh, that was one of her own kind of thing. Like the copies, the tethered. Um, that's really interesting because that part really confused me as to why she didn't just stab her. Um, but yeah, it's because she was one of her own. That's cool. Um, I totally lost my train of thought with that, but I don't know why that popped in my head. Yeah, and then the scene with the they're getting away in the car, and the whole family's in it, and the scene with the little boy was cool, and I mean we saw it in the trailer and stuff, um, but I really liked how they set that up where it was supposed to be like a fire trap, and the kid was really into fire. Um, which did they explain why his like mouth was burned and he wore the mask? I don't know if they explained that. Maybe I missed it. I'm assuming it's fire, But it was cool how that was like a little trap. Um, but then it just wasn't really cool because they figured it out anyways, so we didn't even get to see the trap. Um, but it was still cool because we got to see the kid control the kid, where he like backs up and he follows him. Which the laws of like uh, who is controlling who when is kind of confusing in this. Like, why was it just then that the real kid can control the tethered? I don't know. It was kind of a loose plot line as to when they could be controlled and when they couldn't. But that was a cool way to take him down, where the kid gets to realize like, oh, here I can control him. Let me just back up. Oh, that's another thing. That's why that the current mom, the one that we think is the good mom, is so upset that he burns up because she knows he's one of hers. That's interesting. Because I was wondering that too. Like, why was she so upset that the bad one died? Like, it didn't make any sense. But yeah, that makes total sense afterwards that she knows that she's one of the bad ones, or the tethered or whatever you want to call it. I just keep calling them bad ones. Why she was so upset that the other tethered died. That's cool. But yeah, and then the kid just randomly gets snatched by the what we think is the tethered one. God, this is confusing to talk through. And that is kind of where it falls apart for me a little more, because I didn't really like how all through that the mom was just like, okay, we're gonna do this together, we're gonna figure this out, blah blah blah. And then right then, like, the kid gets snatched and she just totally ditches the dad and the daughter. Like, she just books it out of there without a question. And from there it's just, oh no, I was gonna say from there it's confusing as to like how she knows to go into the little doorway to get down to the cellar thing. But okay, this is really cool to talk through now, because you figure it out as you go. She knew to go down that way because that's where she was from originally. Oh, that's cool. Because I instantly thought that, where I was like, how does this normal mom, the one we think is a real normal human, just knows to go down there? And the scenery, the visuals was really cool. The kind of, well, it also didn't really make any sense to me why there's like these crazy tunnels under this house of mirrors. I guess it's probably supposed to just be like, that's the electrical systems and stuff for the pier above it. But it's supposed to lead into the card at the beginning, saying there's a bunch of tunnels underground. So she kind of just follows all these hallways and doors and stuff, and then gets right to this escalator. That escalator, visual was really cool. And the lighting, whoever did the lighting on that thing, was cool. And then you just like get into this hallway with the rabbits everywhere, and it just didn't really make sense to me. Like, after that, we get the whole exposition fest of the red suit tethered evil one that's actually the normal one. Just goes on this whole rant as to kind of giving us answers, but still not really giving us a whole lot, at least not what I wanted. Oh my gosh, biggest gripe of the movie, what was that shot? Who shot that of like her face up close but then the other one behind her? I don't know why, it just looked so ugly of a shot, with her big, like, almost CGI looking face right in front of the screen. And then, like, we didn't even really need to see that shot because the other mom wasn't even walking forward. She was kind of just standing there with the fire stick poker. That was a really ugly shot to me. But so we get this whole speech as to like, they've been down here for so long, but then the program was canceled. Well, it was like the government wanted to control people, and then they canceled the program, and then the people that made them went crazy or something, and they all were just left down there. I guess is the gist of it. And this mom, the tethered mom, wanted revenge because, and see, this is where it gets a little messy too, because she says, "You could have taken me with you" or something, and imagine what we could have had or something. That gets a little weird because when you realize that she's the real one, why would she say, "You could have taken me with you"? I don't really get that part now that I think about it. But she's saying, like, basically she rallies the troops to get everybody out and almost like have a mind for themselves in a way and take over and say, like, hey, we're really here, which I don't really understand, like, why do you need to do that? If she was the original kid, if she was the original kid, why what? Like, if the program was canceled, why was she just chilling down there? Like, why couldn't she just leave like the other one did and just have a normal life? Did I just miss that? Why was she trapped down there? I mean, I know she was handcuffed, but like, she obviously got out of the handcuffs. And yeah, like I said, so this is where it gets kind of like a weird. The story just falls apart for me because a lot of questions, like a lot of logical questions, aren't answered, and it's kind of just thrown together. I know it's a horror movie, and that's probably what they were going for, where it didn't need to be every piece didn't need to be thought out, but where she's saying like she kind of rallied the troops, and everybody puts on these red jumpsuits. Where did they get those from? If the program was canceled, nobody was running it. Where do they get those from? Where do they all get the same gloves and scissors? How did they communicate? Like, if there was no teachers or anything in these classrooms that they had and the program was canceled, how did they learn to speak? Because the other ones didn't know how to speak. So how did, like, she know how to tell them what to do, kind of thing? I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just ranting about my confusion now. Who knows? So they have like a little fight thing, and then the real one, which is the one in the jumpsuit, gets killed. And then, there's another confusing part because, well, you start to see a little bit of her change. The one we think is the real one change when she kills it, the red jumpsuit, because she goes a little kind of crazy when she kills her, and she starts laughing kind of like maniacally and stuff, which I took, but this is before the switch, so that you realize it was a switch. I took that as she was just going kind of crazy, I mean, she just, I thought what they were kind of going for in the writing was that if this was a normal person going through this, a normal person would start to go a little crazy with this, seeing herself. She literally just killed a copy of herself. So I thought that's what they were going for, is that it was kind of some psychological thing where she was just going kind of nuts and she laughed like that. But then after realizing it was the switch, it's because she's the real tethered. So her evilness or whatever wickedness, maniacal, is coming out. And that's what I think the kid ends up seeing in her. When she finds the kid in the locker and she's like, oh, it's all going to be okay, she's still acting like kind of nutty and like on edge. And I think the kid's supposed to see that in her and not really fully trust her anymore. And then that's what we see in the ambulance at the end when she realizes, which, is she supposed to realize that she's the real one? Like, aren't we supposed to know that she is from the start? See, it's where it gets kind of confusing for me. Maybe it's just because I'm thinking this out on my own. But, like, wouldn't she remember that she was this switched from the start? I don't know. I'm so confused now. I don't know. I'm just going to keep confusing myself even more if I keep going on it. It was a confusing ending. Maybe I'll have to go watch one of those ending explained videos or something. But I don't know. It's a weird movie to me. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was kind of just, it was interesting, and I wanted a lot more answers than I got. And I couldn't I couldn't really get over the logical questions that were just kind of ignored. And so it didn't really leave me thinking, or the ending didn't have much of a meaning to it for me. It's kind of just, I don't know. I didn't get the answers out of it that I wanted, so I'm not going to think more about it because I didn't get those answers. I mean, I figured out like some of my thoughts just talking through it here. But it's not one of those ones for me that's going to keep me thinking about it like in the next couple of days of like, oh, what if it was like this or this? It kind of it had a wrap up ending, but it didn't. I don't know. It's a weird middle ground for me. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. Performances were crazy good. Cinematography and directing was crazy good. Yeah, everyone was amazing in it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll see it again anytime soon. Well, it'd be interesting to see it again and looking at it from a perspective of knowing that she was the switched, which is what I was trying to do this whole time, and figure stuff out as I go. But it'd be interesting to see it again, knowing that she was switched that whole time. But I don't know. I don't know if I could pay attention to all the little details for that. So yeah, that's my little rant on Us. Figured stuff out as I went. It was interesting. It got me thinking during it, but I don't know. That's kind of it for me. So if you want to let me know your thoughts on the movie, or if you agree or disagree with me on my thoughts, or if I'm totally missing something, some sort of, I don't know, major plot device that I just missed or forgot to talk about in this episode, you can definitely let me know. Email is themidnightshowingpod@gmail.com. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube is all the same at The Midnight Showing. And my Twitter is backwards at Showing Midnight. So hit me up on any of those. Let me know what you thought of Us. I'll read and respond to every single one. Love to hear from you guys and what you think of the show so far. So thank you everyone for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.